We already talked about reference assignment back in Chapter 2, but now I want to talk about how references apply to objects. Now the good news is that you actually don't have to do anything. You just need to understand what's going on. Reference assignment is automatic for objects in PHP 5. Now that wasn't true back in PHP 4. Let's first take a look at why it's true and why we would want this function to be automatic. Let's imagine that we have a new person. So we've created a new person, we've assigned it to a variable. Then let's say somewhere else in our code later on, we decide to say, well, the customer is equal to that person. Now if we don't use reference assignment, then that would mean we would need to make a copy of the value. Just like we did back when we had A and B, and then we said B equals A. If we don't use the reference assignment, they don't point to the same thing. It actually duplicates the value. But in this case, the value is an object, and an object contains a lot of code. Now, so far, our person object has been very simple. We just have that say hello method, but even that would get copied. And if we had 20, 30, 40 different methods inside of the person class, then all of those would get ported when we made the copy. So each and every one would have that same functionality. If you go back to the metaphor that we were using for tearing off a sheet of stationery or a notepad, then we would basically be making another page, another sheet of paper, and copying all the information down on it too. And then we'd have two pieces of paper that are identical, when what we actually want is a reference to the same one. So because objects can be very large and take up a lot of memory, it's going to be more efficient for PHP to not make a copy of the whole object, but to make a reference assignment instead. Now, it's no problem if you still include that reference assignment, and you go ahead and put that ampersand there. In fact, it's common practice, and we'll be doing it a lot throughout this tutorial, so don't be surprised if you see it there. If nothing else, it demonstrates what the programmer's intent is, even if the PHP engine would have already done the same thing for you. And in case you're wondering, we'll talk a little later about how you would actually copy objects if you wanted to copy them. But there's another important way that we reference the instances of a class. Now notice that I said instances. It only applies to instances, and that's with the pseudo variable this. Let's take a look at it. So here I am in the class example we were just working on. I'm just going to do a save as, and we'll make this class example 4 PHP. And just like before, I'm going to get rid of everything that was down here. And we're going to continue to work on our class. The pseudo variable this with a $sign in front of it can be used as a reference to refer to the calling object when you want to call a method from within an object. Let me show you what I mean. So right now we have echo hello from inside a class. Well, what if we wanted to actually have the class name? So instead of hello from inside a class, let's change it to say from inside the class, and then we'll have it put in the class name here. So I'll put in 2 periods to append this together, and then we'll use our getClass method that we saw earlier. How do we talk about the class of this instance? And the way we do it is with this. There's a $sign in front of it, and then this. What we mean is this instance. Okay? Now right now we're talking about the class, and the class is the same for every instance. That's not important. What's important here is that we're asking it to use this as a reference for the instance. And getClass is something we applied to instances earlier. So let's just try that out real quick. We're going to go ahead and need to create a new instance. Person equals new person. And then we'll tell that person that it should call the say hello method. So let's try that out. We'll go back to Firefox. And this time it'll be example number 4. Hello from inside the class person. Now I forgot my space in there, but you get the idea. Here we go. So that's how we reference an instance. So let's do another one real quick. We'll just type function and then hello. And then let's have it call this and say hello. So now we've got one method that's calling another method. So what do you think will happen if we come down here and simply call our hello method in addition? Let's go back and try it. You see that it does the same thing. So this, with the $sign in front of it, is the way that we're going to refer to the instance and call different aspects of that instance from inside the class. Only inside the class is where we're going to do that. In the next movie, we'll take a look at how we can start to define some class properties so that we can continue to add complexity to our class.